Hello everyone, this is Rahul Rathod. Welcome back to my another video. In this video, we will be discussing about silent letter B. And if you did not watch my last video of silent letter A, go back to that previous video and watch that video first, because we had discussed everything clearly about the silent letter A, where the letter A is kept silent and all. So now in this video, we'll be discussing about silent letter B, where all the silent letter B is not pronounced. So without wasting your time, let's begin the class. Fine. So as I have told you that we are going to discuss the silent letter B, which means letter B is written in a word. Letter B is written in a word, but no sound. No sound, but no sound of that letter B. So this is what you must understand, that letter B, when we are studying about the silent letter as B, that must be written in a word, but there should not be sound of that letter B. So rule number 1 says that, letter B is silent. Rule number 1 says, keep in mind and listen to me carefully, letter B is silent after yum at the end of the word. Do focus on this line at the end of the word. So why did I mention this here? Firstly, I'm gonna make it clear that letter B is silent. Letter B is silent when it comes after yum, which means when letter B comes after yum, this is in this case letter B is a silent letter. Fine. So second statement says that at the end of the word. Why it is at the end of the word? So this is the very important rule to be understood. Letter B is silent only when it comes and at the end of the word. Otherwise, it is not considered as the silent letter. For example, I'll write here. See, what is this? Combination. In the word combination, here there is B after the yum, but this B is not a silent letter. Why? Because rule says that B is only silent when it comes after the yum at the end of the word, but it is not at the end of the word, it is the middle in the word, right? So in this case, letter B is not silent letter. If it is silent letter, that must be in the end of the word. Fine. So now see here, we say this climb. We don't pronounce this climb. We say climb. B is a silent letter. Why? Because it is in the end and after the yum. What is this? We don't pronounce this comb. Many people pronounce this as comb, and even I used to pronounce this as comb, but I got to understand that it is not comb, it is comb. We don't pronounce this B, just comb. We pronounce this as, we don't pronounce this bomb, we pronounce this bomb. B is a silent letter. Why? Because it is at the end and after the yum. So now we pronounce this as lamb, not lamb. What? Lamb, just. B is a silent letter. Here we pronounce this as dumb, not dumb. We pronounce this dumb. Why? It is a silent letter. Again here we don't pronounce this limb, we pronounce this as limb. B is a silent letter again. Why? It is in the end and after the yum. Here, see here, many people, even I used to pronounce this as thumb. We don't pronounce this thumb. B is a silent letter. We should pronounce this thumb. What? Thumb, not B. B must be written, but that should not be pronounced. And here, what is this? This is crumb, not crumb. We pronounce this crumb. Okay, fine. All the letters which were written using the red marker are considered as the silent letter, and the silent letter rule says that if any word is considered as the silent letter, that must be written. And if you don't write that letter, it is wrong, and that should not be pronounced. If you pronounce that letter, that is also wrong. Follow these two rules. What is the first? That must be written, but there should not be sound at that letter. It is known as the silent letter. So we discussed about the rule number 1. Note it down, these examples which are there on the board. I'll tell you about the rule number 2. Fine, note it down. We have discussed about the silent letter B is rule number 1, and now we are going to discuss about the rule number 2 of the silent letter B. So rule number 2 says that letter B is also generally silent after T. So in the letter B is silent after this T. Letter B is silent before this T. So rule number 2 says that letter B is also generally silent before this T, but not everywhere. See, we have here such examples. Letter B is silent. See, we pronounce this as, we don't pronounce this subtle. We don't pronounce subtle. B is a silent letter. Why? Because B is written before this T, which means it is a silent letter. This must be written, but that should not be pronounced. Okay, fine. We pronounce this subtle, not subtle, subtle. We pronounce this as, we don't pronounce this doubt. We pronounce this doubt. We pronounce this doubt. D is a silent letter. Why? Because it is before this T. See here, in the commerce field, usually this word is seen that, and it is pronounced in wrong way by every student of commerce. We don't pronounce this depth. We don't pronounce this depth, but we should pronounce this as depth. This should not be pronounced depth. And the word doubtful should be pronounced as doubtful, not as doubtful. It is doubtful. So the letters which were written by using the red marker before this T is are the silent letters. So this is what the rule number 2 says, that letter B is silent when it is written before T, but not everywhere. I have written here such examples, and I hope you guys must have understood the letter. Silent letter is rule number 1 and the rule number 2. So I have an exception on the topic of silent letter B. Please note it down. I will tell you the exceptions of this. Okay, fine. We have discussed about the rule number 1 and the rule number 2 of silent letter B. Now we are going to discuss about the exceptions on the silent letter B. Firstly, we have to understand that what is these exceptions. So exceptions, which means something which is not considered, something which does not come under the rule, is called the exception. For example, our first rule was on the B. What was the rule number 1? Letter B is silent when it comes after the M. But the main topic was at the end of the word. But this was the rule. But the word which is written here, it does not come under the rule number 1. Why? This is what called the exception here. So B is again there here. B is there after this M. But here there is at the end. But the B is not at the end. Though it is not, there is no sound of this B. Though B is not at the end, there is no sound of this B. It is called the exception. Rule was this, that B is silent when it is at the end after the M, but it is not at the end, but it is there after the M, but not at the end, though it is silent. Why? This is called the exception. We pronounce this as not plumber. We pronounce this as plumber. We pronounce this plumber, not as plumber, plumber. And the second word, this word does not come under the rule number 1, though it is pronounced this as bomber, not bomber. We pronounce this word must be pronounced as bomber, because the letter B is again silent here. Keep in mind. So these are the exceptions on the letter B as silent. So I hope everybody must have understood the topic. If you have any queries related to this video, feel free to ask us in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed our channel, do subscribe our channel and press the bell icon. We'll meet in our next video with a great concept. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. Keep learning with Learn to Teach.